Hi, it's Lady with a Lisp here, and today I'll be reading parts of Alanna, the First Adventure by Tamora Pierce. Chapter 1, Twins. That is my decision. We need not discuss it, said the man at the desk. He was already looking at a book. His two children left the room, closing the door behind them. He doesn't want us around, the boy muttered. He doesn't care what we want. We know that, was the girl's answer. He doesn't care about anything except his books and scrolls. The boy hit the wall. I don't want to be a knight. I want to be a great sorcerer. I want to slay demons and walk with the gods. Do you think I want to be a lady? His sister asked. Walk slowly, Alanna, she said primly. Sit still, Alanna. Shoulders back, Alanna. As if that's all I can do with myself. She paced the floor. There has to be another way. The boy watched the girl. Tom and Alanna of Trebond were twins, both with red hair and purple eyes. The only difference between them, as far as most people could tell, was the length of their hair. In face and body shape, dressed alike, they would have looked alike. Face it, Tom told Alanna. Tomorrow you leave for the convent and I go to the palace. That's it. Why do you get all the fun? She complained. I'll have to learn sewing and dancing. You'll study tilting, fencing. Do you think I like that stuff? He yelled. I hate falling down and whacking at things. You're the one who likes it, not me. She grinned. You should have been Alanna. They always teach the girls magic. The thought hit her so suddenly that she gasped. Tom, that's it. From the look on her face, Tom knew his sister had just come up with yet another crazy idea. What's it? He asked suspiciously. Alanna looked around and checked the hall for servants. Tomorrow, he gives us the letters for the man who trains the pages and the people at the convent. You can imitate his writing, so you can do new letters, saying we're twin boys. You go to the convent. Say in the letter that you're to be a sorcerer. The daughters of the goddess are the ones who train young boys in magic, remember? When you're older, they'll send you to the priests, and I'll go to the palace and learn to be a knight. That's crazy, Tom argued. What about your hair? You can't go swimming naked either, and you'll turn into a girl, with a chest and everything. I'll cut my hair, she replied. And, well, I'll handle the rest when it happens. What about Coram and Maud? They'll be travelling with us, and they can tell us apart. They know we aren't twin boys. She chewed her thumb, thinking this over. I'll tell Coram we'll work magic on him if he says anything, she said at last. He hates magic. That ought to be enough, and maybe we can talk to Maud. Tom considered it, looking at his hands. You think we could? He whispered. Alanna looked at her twin's hopeful face. Part of her wanted to stop this before it got out of hand, but not a very big part. If you don't lose your nerve, she told her twin. And if I don't lose mine, she thought. What about father? He was already looking into the distance, seeing the city of the gods. Alanna shook her head. He'll forget us once we're gone. She eyed Tom. Do you want to be a sorcerer bad enough? She demanded. It means years of studying and work for us both. Will you have the guts for it? Tom straightened his tunic. His eyes were cold. Just show me the way. Alanna nodded. Let's go find Maud. Maud, the village healer, listened to them and said nothing. When Alanna finished, the woman turned and stared out the door for long minutes. Finally, she looked at the twins again. They didn't know it, but Maud was in difficulty. She had taught them all the magic she possessed. They were both capable of learning much more, but there were no other teachers at Trebond. Tom wanted everything he could get from his magic, but he disliked people. He listened to Maud only because he thought she had something left to teach him. He hated Coram, the other adult who looked after the twins, because Coram made him feel stupid. The only person in the world Tom loved, beside himself, was Alanna. Maud thought about Alanna and sighed. The girl was very different from her brother. Alanna was afraid of her magic. Tom had to be ordered to hunt, and Alanna had to be tricked and begged into trying spells. The woman had been looking forward to the day when someone else would have to handle these two. Now it seemed the gods were going to test her through them one last time. She shook her head. I cannot make such a decision without help. I must try and see in the fire. Tom frowned. I thought you couldn't. I thought you could only heal. Maud wiped sweat from her face. She was afraid. Never mind what I can do and what I cannot do, she snapped. Alanna, bring wood. Tom, vervain. They rushed to do as she said, Alanna returning first to add wood to the fire already burning on the hearth. Tom soon followed, carrying leaves from the magic plant vervain. Maud knelt before the hearth and motioned for the twins to sit on either side of her. She felt sweat running down her back. People who tried to use magic the gods had not given them often died in ugly ways. Maud gave a silent prayer to the Great Mother Goddess, promising good behaviour for the rest of her days if only the goddess would keep her in one piece through this. She tossed the leaves onto the fire, her lips moving silently with the sacred words. Power from her and from the twins slowly filled the fire. The flames turned green from Maud's sorcery and purple for the twins. The woman drew a deep breath and grabbed the twins' left hands, thrusting them into the fire. Power shot up their arms. Tom yelped and wriggled with the pain of the magic now filling him up. Alanna bit her lower lip till it bled, fighting the pain her own way. Maud's eyes were wide and blank as she kept their intertwined hands in the flames. Suddenly, Alanna frowned. A picture was forming in the fire. That was impossible. She wasn't supposed to see anything. Maud was the one who had cast the spell. Maud was the only one who should see anything. Ignoring all the laws of magic Alanna had been taught, the picture grew and spread. It was a city made all of black, shiny stone. Alanna leaned forward, squinting to see it better. She had never seen anything like this city. The sun beat down on gleaming walls and towers. Alanna was afraid, more afraid than she had ever been. Maud let go of the twins. The picture vanished. Alanna was cold now and very confused. What had that city been? Where was it? Tom examined his hand. There were no burn marks or even scars. There was nothing to show that Maud had kept their hands in the flames for long minutes. Maud rocked back on her heels. She looked old and tired. I've seen many things I do not understand, she whispered finally. Many things. Did you see the city? Alanna wanted to know. Maud looked at her sharply. I saw no city. Tom leaned forward. You saw something? His voice was eager. But Maud cast a spell. No, snapped Alanna. I didn't see anything. Anything. Tom decided to wait and ask her later when she didn't look so scared. He turned to Maud. Well? He demanded. The healing woman sighed. Very well. Tomorrow, Tom and I go to the city of the gods. At dawn the next day, Lord Alan gave each of his children a sealed letter and his blessing before instructing Coram and Maud. Coram still did not know about the change in the plan. Alanna did not intend to enlighten him until they were far from Trebond. Once Lord Alan let them go, Maud took the twins to Alanna's room while Lord Alan entrusted his son to the care of Duke Gareth of Naxon and his daughter to the first daughter of the convent. Sums of money would be sent quarterly to pay for his children's upkeep until such time as their teachers saw fit to return them to their home. He was busy with his studies and trusted the judgment of the Duke and the first daughter in all matters. He was in their debt, Lord Alan of Trebond. Many such letters were sent to the convent and to the palace every year. All girls from noble families studied in convents until they were 15 or 16, at which time they went to the court to find husbands. Usually, the oldest son of a noble family learned the skills and duties of a knight at the king's palace. Younger sons could follow their brothers to the palace, or they could go first to the convent, then to the priest's cloisters, where they studied religion or sorcery. Tom was expert at forging his father's handwriting. He wrote 2 new letters, one for Alan, one for himself. Alanna read them carefully, relieved to see that there was no way to tell the difference between Tom's work and the real thing. The boys sat back with a grin, knowing it might be years before the confusion was resolved. While Tom climbed into a riding skirt, Maud took Alanna into the dressing room. The girl changed into shirt, breeches, and boots. Then Maud cut her hair. "I've something to say to you," Maud said as the first lock fell to the floor. "What?" Alanna asked nervously. "You've a gift for healing," the shears worked on. "It's greater than mine, greater than any I have ever known, and you've other magic, power you'll learn to use, but the healing, that's the important thing. I had a dream last night. A warning it was, as plain as if the gods shouted it in my ear." Alanna pictured this and stifled a giggle. "It don't do to laugh at the gods," Maud told her sternly, "though you'll find that out yourself soon enough." "What is that supposed to mean?" "Never mind. Listen. Have you thought of the lives you'll take when you go off performing those great deeds?" Alanna bit her lip. "No," she admitted. "I didn't think so. You see only the glory, but there's lives taken and families without fathers and sorrow. Think before you fight. Think on who you're fighting, if only because one day you must meet your match. And if you want to pay for those lives you do take, use your healing magic. Use it all you can, or you won't cleanse your soul of death for centuries. It's harder to heal than it is to kill. The mother only knows why, but you've a gift for both." Quickly, she brushed Alanna's cropped hair. "Keep your hood up for a bit, but you look enough like Tom to fool anyone but Coram." Alanna stared at herself in the mirror. Her twin stared back, violet eyes wide in his pale face. Grinning, she wrapped herself in her cloak. With a last peek at the boy in the mirror, she followed Maud out to the courtyard. Coram and Tom, already mounted up, waited for them. Tom rearranged his skirts and gave his sister a wink. Maud stopped Alanna as she went to mount the pony, Chubby. "Heal, child," the woman advised. "Heal all you can, or you'll pay for it. The gods mean for their gifts to be used." Alanna swung herself into the saddle and patted Chubby with a comforting hand. The pony, sensing that the good twin was on his back, stopped fidgeting. When Tom was riding him, Chubby managed to dump him. The twins and the 2 servants waved farewell to the assembled castle servants, who had come to see them off. Slowly, they rode through the castle gate, Alanna doing her best to imitate Tom's pout, or the pout Tom would be wearing if he were riding to the palace right now. Tom was looking down at his pony's ears, keeping his face hidden. Everyone knew how the twins felt at being sent away. The road leading from the castle plunged into heavily overgrown and rocky country. For the next day or so, they would be riding through the unfriendly forests of the Grimhold Mountains, the natural great border between Tortall and Scanra. It was familiar land to the twins. While it might seem dark and unfriendly to people from the south, to Alanna and Tom, it would always be home. At mid-morning, they came to the meeting of Trebond Way and the Great Road. Patrolled by the king's men, the Great Road led north to the distant city of the gods. That was the way Tom and Maud would take. Alanna and Coram were bound south to the capital city of Chorus and the royal palace. The 2 servants went apart to say goodbye and give the twins some privacy. Like Tom and Alanna, it would be years before Coram and Maud saw each other again. Though Maud would return to Trebond, Coram was to remain with Alanna, acting as her manservant during her years at the palace. Alanna looked at her brother and gave a little smile. "Here we are," she said. "I wish I could say have fun," Tom said frankly, "but I can't say how anyone can have fun learning to be a knight. Good luck, though. If we're caught, we'll both be skinned." "No one's going to catch us, brother," She reached across the distance between them, and they gripped hands warmly. "Good luck, Tom. Watch your back." "There are lots of tests ahead for you," Tom said earnestly. "Watch your back." "I'll pass the tests," Alanna said. She knew they were brave words, almost foolhardy, but Tom seemed as if he needed to hear them. They turned their ponies then and rejoined the adults. "Let's go," Alanna growled to Coram. Maud and Tom took the left fork of the great road, and Alanna and Coram bore right. Alanna halted suddenly, turning around to watch her brother ride off. She blinked the burning feeling from her eyes, but she couldn't ease the tight feeling in her throat. Something told her Tom would be very different when she saw him again. With a sigh, she turned Chubby back toward the capital city. Coram made a face and urged his big gelding forward. He would have preferred doing anything to escorting a finicky boy to the palace. Once he had been the hardiest soldier in the king's armies. Now he was going to be a joke. People would see that Tom was no warrior, and they would blame Coram, the man who was to have taught him the basics of the warrior's craft. He rode for hours without a word, thinking his own gloomy thoughts, too depressed to notice that Tom, who usually complained after about an hour's ride, was silent as well. Coram had been trained as a blacksmith, but he had once been one of the best of the king's foot soldiers until he had returned home to Trebon Castle and become sergeant at arms there. Now he wanted to be with the king's soldiers again, but not if they were going to laugh at him because he had a weakling for a master. Why couldn't Alanna have been the boy? She was a fighter. Coram had taught her at first, because to teach one twin was to teach the other the poor motherless things. Then he began to enjoy teaching her. She learned quickly and, well, better than her brother. With all his heart, Coram Smitherson wished now, as he had in the past, that Alanna were the boy. He was about to get his wish, in a left-handed way. The sun was glinting from directly overhead. Time for the noon meal. Coram grunted orders to the cloaked child, and they both dismounted in a clearing beside the road. Pulling bread and cheese from a saddlebag, he broke off a share and handed it over. He also took the wineskin down from his saddle horn. "We'll make the way house by dark, if not before," he rumbled. "Till then, we make do with this." Alanna removed her heavy cloak. "This is fine with me." Coram choked, spraying a mouthful of liquid all over the road. Alanna had to clap him on the back before he caught his breath again. "Brandy," he whispered, looking at the wineskin. He returned to his immediate problem. "By the black God!" he roared, turning spotty purple. "We're going back this instant, and I'm tanning your hide for you when we get home. Where's that devil-spawned brother of yours?" "Coram, calm down," she said. "Have a drink." "I don't want a drink," he snarled. "I want to beat the two of you till your skins won't hold water." He took a deep gulp from the wineskin. "Tom's on his way to the city of the gods with Maud," Alanna explained. "She thinks we're doing the right thing." Coram swore under his breath. "That witch would agree with you two sorcerers. And what does your father say?" "Why should he ever know?" Alanna asked. "Coram, you know Tom doesn't want to be a knight. I do." "I don't care if the two of you want to be dancing bears," Coram told her, taking another swallow from the skin. "You're a girl." "Who's to know?" She bent forward, her small face intent. "From now on, I'm Alan of Trebond, the younger twin. I'll be a knight. Tom will be a sorcerer. It'll happen. Maud saw it for us in the fire." Coram made the sign against evil with his right hand. Magic made him nervous. Maud made him nervous. He drank again to settle his nerves. "Lass, it's a noble thought, a warrior's thought, but it'll never work. If you're not caught when you bathe, you'll be turning into a woman. I can hide all that, with your help. If I can't, I'll disappear. Your father will have my hide." She made a face. "Father doesn't care about anything but his scrolls." She drew a breath. "Coram, I'm being nice. Tom wouldn't be this nice. Do you want to see things that aren't there for the next 10 years? I can work that, you know. Remember when Cook was going to tell Father who ate the cherry tarts? Or the time Godmother tried to get Father to marry her? Coram turned pale. The afternoon the tarts were discovered missing, Cook started to see large hungry lions following him around the kitchens. Lord Alan never heard about the missing tarts. When the twins' godmother came to Trebon to snare Lord Alan as her next husband, she had fled after only 3 days, claiming the castle was haunted. You wouldn't, Coram whispered. He'd always suspected that the twins had been behind Cook's hallucinations and Lady Catherine's ghosts, but he had kept those thoughts to himself. Cook gave himself airs, and Lady Catherine was cruel to her servants. Seeing she had struck a nerve, Alanna changed tactics. Tom can't shoot for beans, and I can. Tom wouldn't be a credit to you. I will, I think. You said yourself, a grown man can't skin a rabbit faster than me. She fed her last piece of bread to Chubby and looked at Coram with huge, pleading eyes. Let's ride on. If you feel the same in the morning, we can turn back. She crossed her fingers as she lied. She had no intention of returning to Trebond. Just don't rush. Father won't know till it's too late. Coram swigged again from the skin, getting up shakily. He mounted, watching the girl. They rode silently while Coram thought and drank. The threat about making him see things didn't worry him much. Instead, he thought of Tom's performance in archery. It was enough to make a soldier cry. Alanna was much quicker than her brother. She rarely tired, even hiking over rough country. She had a feel for the fighting arts, and that was something that never could be learned. She was also as stubborn as a mule. Because he was absorbed in his thoughts, Coram never saw the wood snake glide across the road. Alanna, and Coram's horse, spotted the slithery creature in the same second. The big gelding reared, almost throwing his master. Chubby stopped dead in the road, surprised by these antics. Coram yelled and fought to hold on as his mount bucked frantically, terrified by the snake. Alanna never stopped to think. She threw herself from Chubby's saddle and grabbed for Coram's reins with both hands. Dodging the gelding's flying hoofs frantically, she used all her strength and weight to pull the horse down before Coram fell and broke his neck. The gelding, more surprised than anything else by the new weight on his reins, dropped to all fours. He trembled as Alanna stroked his nose, whispering comforting words. She dug in a pocket and produced an apple for the horse, continuing to pet him until his shaking stopped. When Alanna looked up, Coram was watching her oddly. She had no way of knowing that he was imagining what Tom would have done in similar circumstances. Her twin would have left Coram to fend for himself. Coram knew the kind of courage it took to calm a large bucking horse. It was the kind of courage a knight needed in plenty. Even so, Alanna was a girl. By the time they arrived at the Way House, Coram was very drunk. The innkeeper helped him to bed while his wife fussed over the poor wee lad. In her bed that night, Alanna listened to Coram's snores with a wide grin on her lips. Maud had managed to fill the wineskin with Lord Alan's best brandy, hoping her old friend might be more open to reason if his joints were well oiled. Coram woke the next morning with the worst hangover he had ever had. He moaned as Alanna entered the room. "Don't walk so loud," he begged. Alanna handed him a steaming mug. "Drink. Maud says this makes you feel better every time." The man drank deeply, gasping as the hot liquid burned down his throat. But in the end, he did feel better. He swung his feet to the floor, gently rubbing his tender skull. "I need a bath." Alanna pointed to the bath already waiting in the corner. Coram glared at her from beneath his eyebrows. "Go order breakfast. I take it I'm to call you Alan now." She yelped with joy and skipped from the room. 4 days later, they rode into Chorus just after dawn. They were part of the stream of people entering the capital for the market day. Coram guided his horse through the crowds while Alanna tried to keep Chubby close behind him and still see everything. Never in her life had she encountered so many people. She saw merchants, slaves, priests, nobles. She could tell the Bazir, desert tribesmen, by their heavy white burnouses. just as she spotted seamen by their braided pigtails. She was lucky that Chubby was inclined to stay near Coram's gelding, or she would have been lost in a second. The marketplace itself was almost more than a girl from a mountain castle could take. Alanna blinked her bright eyes at the colours. Piles of orange and yellow fruits, hangings of bright blue and green, ropes of gold and silver chains. Some people were staring openly, as she was. Others shoved their goods under people's noses, shouting for them to buy. Women in tight dresses eyed men from doorways, and children ran underfoot, sneaking their hands into pockets and purses. Coram missed nothing. "Keep an eye to your saddlebag," he called back to Alanna. "There are some here as would steal her own mother's teeth." He seemed to be directing this comment at a tall young man standing near Alanna. The lean young man grinned, white teeth flashing in his tanned face. "Who, me?" he asked innocently. Coram snorted and kicked his horse onward. The man winked one bright hazel eye at Alanna and vanished into the crowd. She watched him until someone shouted for her to watch herself. She wondered if he really was a thief. He seemed very nice. They left the marketplace, taking the market way up a long sloping hill. This led them through districts where rich merchants lived, up past the villas of even richer nobles. The crossing of Market Way and Harmony Way marked the beginning of the Temple District. Here, the Market Way changed its name, becoming the Palace Way. Coram straightened his saddle. After years of soldiering, this was like coming home. Alanna saw countless temples as they rode through the district. She had heard that 100 gods were worshipped in Chorus. There were enough temples for that many, she thought. She even saw a troop of women dressed in armour to guard the temple of the Great Mother Goddess. These women were armed with great double-headed axes, and they knew how to use them. Their duty was to keep men from ever setting foot on ground sacred to the Great Mother. Alanna grinned. Someday she would wear armour too, but she wouldn't be confined to temple grounds. The ground suddenly rose steeply. The temple district ended here. Above them, crowning the hill, was the royal palace. Alanna looked at it and gasped. Ahead of her was the city gate, carved with thousands of figures and trimmed with gold. Through this gate in the palace wall, kings and queens came down to the city on holy days. Through this gate, the people went to see their rulers on great audience days. The gate was as high as the wall it pierced, a wall lined with soldiers dressed in the royal gold and red. Behind the wall, level after level of buildings and towers rose up to the palace itself. The area had its own gardens, wells, stables, barracks, and menagerie. Outside the wall on the other side lay the royal forest. All these things Alanna knew from her father's books and maps, but the reality took her breath away as a paragraph written in a book never could. Coram led the way to the courtyard beside the stables. Here, servants awaited the arrivals of guests to show them to their rooms, to guide the arrival servants, and to take charge of the horses. One such servant approached them. Coram dismounted. "I'm Coram Smithson of Fief Trebon. I've come with Master Alan of Trebon to begin his service at court." The hostler bowed. A royal page rated some respect, but not the respect a full-grown noble would get. "I'll be taking the horses, sir," he said, with a voice thick with the accent of the city. "Timon," he called. A slender young man in royal livery hurried up. "Aye, Stephen?" "One for his grace. I'll see to the bags." Alanna dismounted and hugged Chubby for a second, feeling as if he were her last friend. She had to hurry to catch up with Timon and Coram. "You show his grace the proper respect," Coram growled in her ear. "A wizard with a sword he is, and a better leader you'll never meet." Alanna rubbed her nose anxiously. What if something went wrong? What if the Duke guessed? She glanced at Coram. The man was sweating. Alanna gritted her teeth and thrust her chin forward stubbornly. She would see this through. That's the end of the stream tonight. Let me know how I went. I'll be doing chapter 2 next week. Thanks.